It's the end of my day. Anyway, finally I'm gonna do this before the morning so I can get this out early in the morning, and I can also not do this in the morning. And I got a lot to do. I got an excavator coming here in the morning, and I'm gonna do a pile of stuff with. So, but I had an interesting email I received today. Oh my God, where did it go? Hold on a second. Okay, here it is. Sorry about that. Now listen. This is interesting. I've never done this before. You'll get it when I read it. Let's just get into it. Listen to this. I am writing to you on behalf of my father, Mark Fair. He's an avid follower who loves watching YouTube videos. I recently published a YouTube video where he talks about a few of his encounters with Sasquatch, and he would love for you to hear them and tell his story on your channel. Please copy and paste the link below and watch his video and retell his story on your channel. It would really make his day. Thanks again. Thanks, Jessica, again on behalf of Mark Fair. No problem. So you know what I did today, Jessica? When I finished everything that I had to do today, I just got half the animals fed, and I'm going to let the horses and goats graze for another hour while I do this. So I sat down with two dogs either side of me, and I went back and forth listening to your father, and then I typed it out as best I could in my notes. So, and I copied those photographs. So you guys, I get to read my own typing. And here we go. And to you, Mr. Fair, Mark, I appreciate you saying that in, man. Absolutely appreciate you and have huge respect for you. Now listen to this, you guys. My name is Mark Fair. I'm a Native American from the Lummi Nation in Washington State. I've been a fisherman most of my life. I went to Bellingham High School. After that, I went to art school in Santa Fe, New Mexico, called Institute of American Indian Art. But mostly I've been a fisherman for the last 50 years. I'm a multi-artist. I do jewelry, painting, and carving. I have 3 masks in my house. One of the Raven, another is the Wild Woman of the Woods, and the third, the Wild Man of the Woods. I carved that after I saw one cross the road in front of my car several years ago. Amazing thing about that is it had hair at least 4 feet long, and it was around 10 feet tall. I've seen Sasquatch 7 times in my life. I saw my first one at 17 years of age. Last sighting was at 64. I'm 66 now. I've seen them behind Lake Whatcom, past Bellingham. Saw one between Marietta near Bellingham. That one that ran across and jumped, it's just me, not my text. That one ran across and jumped over a 30-foot cliff. I came around a corner and I saw 5 small ones, about 3.5 to 4 feet tall. They all looked to be 4 feet wide, but when they ran, they squeezed through a barbed wire fence no problem, so they must be skinny under all that hair. I saw one I hope I got this right, Teggy Road, and one time about a quarter mile out, walked right across. That's all I can think of right now. I was 17 driving on Teggy Road with my youngest brother and my nephew Ron. It walked across. They didn't see it, but I saw a glimpse as it crossed the road. I was really excited because I knew what I saw. I stopped to see where it crossed, but I couldn't see, although there were 6-foot stinger nettles all along the road. I couldn't see the trail it used, so that made me wonder what it did. A couple days later, I realized it could have jumped over them. I looked again, and I realized it jumped about 25 feet, then made a trail, but I didn't go through the nettles to follow it. I was pretty excited I got to see it, but now when I have thoughts on Sasquatch, I think of April 17th, 2018. I saw it for a good 4 or 5 minutes. When I saw them on April 17th, there were 2 of them, teenagers, playing on the side of the road by a bus stop sign, and I didn't pay much attention as I was looking for mushrooms along Haxton Road on the reservation. As I walked back to my car, I realized that they were all one color, no lines, no belt buckles, just solid black. I realized then it wasn't kids at all, it was 2 Sasquatches. I then realized what was going on, so I kept walking to my car to get out of there. and I was scared once I realized what was going on there. And about that time, the smaller ran up and hit the larger one on the shoulder, then ran back to the middle of the road, like they were playing. I still thought they were kids, but then the bigger one looked at me. Its head was where the bus stop sign was, so later I measured to be 7 feet tall. If I was still trying to get to my car, I was still trying to get to my car. I'm old, I'm an elder, and I just wanted to try and get to my car and get out of there. As I was about 50 yards from my car, the big one turned and looked at me, and it slowly started walking toward me upright like a human being. It was pacing me, walking the same speed I was walking. When it got a little closer, it kind of bent over like it was going to pick something up. It kept walking like that, bent over, looking at the ground. Then I picked up speed as it couldn't see me. When I was about 10 yards from my car, it bent a shoulder downwards and another shoulder up so it could look at me. And it kept walking, bent over, looking very strange. And it was kind of looking mean, so it made me scared her. Word for word, he said scared her. That's a good word. I noticed when it did that, its face was covered with hair, and all I could see was its eyes. I couldn't see a nose, no mouth, I couldn't see a neck. So I just kept trying to get to my car, and it kept walking toward me, looking at me like that. And when I got to the front of my car, I could have reached out and touched it. It could have touched the trunk of my car at the same time. By then I was just super scared, and I just froze. I didn't know what to do, so I looked down. I thought it was all over for me, so I looked down for several seconds and then looked up, and it was just gone. The little one wasn't by the sign anymore. I went to my car and opened it. Then I wanted to see if it was hiding by my car, so I took a couple steps towards the middle of the road, and I couldn't see it. So I got brave enough to walk toward the back of my car, and I still didn't see it. I looked in the ditch, it wasn't there. It vanished without a sound. To this day, I don't know if it jumped in the woods. I don't know if it ran down the road, went down the other side. All I know is it wasn't there anymore. Then I called my brother, and he came over and we looked around. We found tracks in the ditches. They were very deep, 3 inches deep. I couldn't even leave a print when I walked in there. But now, every time I drive by there, I see them. I see them there in my head. They'll be there forever. I know they're real because it was only 15 feet from me. That's all I got to say about that. There's been people see Sasquatch on Lummi Reservation every year, several times a year. There's lots of stories out there. I'm not going to give any names. I know a lot of stories and the people. I can't give names out, but yeah, they are seen on the res every year. I don't know if they live on the res or go through, but they're seen every year. Some people speak out at them at night as they don't know what they are while walking by. Some drive by and keep driving. One thing for certain is everyone is scared of them, except for those who don't realize what they are looking at. My April 17th sighting was the scariest. It really was something to see the smaller one wanting to play and the larger one not wanting anything to do with it playing back, just like humans. My favorite encounter was when one ran by as I passed a car. It was so fast, it happened in 2 seconds maybe. It ran and had to jump a hill that was 30 to 35 feet down, and it jumped off the side of the road like it was nothing. It had very long hair, around 4 feet long. Big. But by my headlights I could see the profile of its face. Its hair was sticking out both sides of its face, made it look 4 feet wide, but its face was all hair. But when it jumped in mid-jump, it turned its face and looked at me. But it didn't have red eyes. It had eyes like ours, but much bigger and white around the black. And I'll remember that forever. But that Sasquatch was tall, and it was big. It was probably 900 pounds and 10 feet tall. That was probably my favorite sighting. If you see a Sasquatch on foot, and it gets close to you, I suggest you look down, like you're giving up, like you're surrendering, and maybe it will leave you alone. If you're in a car, I'd step on the gas and get out of there. I don't have a love for them, but I have respect for them. And I think they just want to be left alone. I think if you go look for one, you might not be happy if you find one. It's just my own opinion. I think they should be left alone. I've ran into a lot of people who don't believe in Sasquatch, and they never will unless they see one. I always believed in them even before I saw one. Now I know for sure. Since I was 17 and saw one, I know they're out there. Be respectful. You might get away. Once I saw that one run across in front of my car, all I could do was think about it day after day, and I drew pictures of it. I drew pictures of all of them. But I wasn't satisfied with pictures. I had to do a mask, so I did a mask of Sasquatch. And that one is for him. That's what I saw in Marietta, Washington. Its hair is short compared to his, meaning hair on the mask. I believe you're blessed if you see one. Yeah, that could almost be debated. Hey, Mark? Either blessed or cursed for some. That's very interesting. And I would imagine if you are an avid listener of the channel, I am guessing that a lot of, possibly more people in your community are watching this channel too, I'm guessing. If they are, and if you want to add to this and possibly share what you have seen or what you have learned or what you know, please, if you would, share it and send it into sharemystory@howtohunt.com, and I will get that knowledge shared with all the people here, if you want, or somewhere, anywhere. We'd appreciate it if you shared it here. And it's funny. It is interesting that numerous Native communities have always had these sightings gone hand in hand. Why? I don't know. But maybe some of the elders of some of the communities watching the channel, maybe you could possibly contact me, email me, and let us know what you think, what you feel about why the Sasquatch Sabe people seem to be seen around your rural communities far more than anywhere else on average. I wonder why that is. You know? I wonder why that is. Interesting. It's the first time I ever did that, and I'm glad I did, and thank you for sending that in to Jessica. And I hope your dad's, I don't know when you did that. I guess this is recent, right? Yeah, so I'd imagine your father's still here with us watching the channel. I appreciate you, sir, and looking forward to hearing from you or your neighbors again in the future. And there you go. Another member of the Club of No Return, right? Now, let's hear some more voices. Hey Steve, my encounter happened about 2 months ago. I'm still having night terrors about it. So, me, my brother, and his girlfriend all went on a hiking trip up in northern Saskatchewan near La Ronge. We were on day 2 of a 4-day trip, and we were having a hell of a time. Then all of a sudden everything went quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but creepy quiet. We started hearing tree knocks and whistles, and then rocks were being thrown. I've been a subscriber to your channel since you're at around the 12,000 sub level, so I knew what was about to happen, and I was not ready for it because this is one thing that I did not want to encounter. Then it stopped for about a minute, and then I swear on my life, a rock about the size of a grapefruit was thrown and hit my brother on the lower right side of his body. He went down, and at this point, I was shitting my pants. I went to help him up, and my brother's girlfriend screamed in terror. Me and my brother looked at what was making her scream, and my body froze. My blood went ice cold. There, about 30 yards ahead of us, was a dark brown, kind of like dark chocolate color, being. He was just staring at us in an angry-looking way like we just trespassed on his land. He had to be about 8 to 9 feet tall, but the one thing that I still see in my nightmares are his eyes. His eyes were human. These beings are not a type of ape. They're like a different species of human. He stared at us for about 30 more seconds, and out of nowhere, he made this blood-curdling scream, and he ran back into the bush. After this, we turned around and made our way back to the truck with no hesitation. It was about an hour and a half walk back to the truck. The entire time we felt like we were being watched. When we finally got to the truck, we all had a sigh of relief. When I got back on the highway, my brother's girlfriend broke down into tears. When we got back, we went to the doctor and found out that my brother ended up with 4 broken ribs and a bruised lung. You're the first I've told my story to, and probably the last. It has ruined the outdoors for me, and I just wish these beings didn't exist. Thank you for listening. P.S. A response would be nice because you're honestly a role model to me, and was hoping you could give me some pointers on how to cope with this because it still bothers me to this day. Love what you're doing and all the best to you. If you put this in a video, I'd like to keep my name private. Thanks. Okay, man, I got you. You're in a safe place here, man. And I would imagine, man, I don't know when this is sent to me. I don't know, because I got it out of my notes out of the iCloud thing. But I hope you're still here listening. And you didn't mention, but I would not be surprised if the girlfriend doesn't talk to you guys anymore, right? It just seems to be a part of a strong pattern. It keeps coming up when people in groups have a terrifying experience. There's either one or more, or all of you, decide not to speak to each other ever again. Probably not the case for your brother. And that's one of very few experiences where people have been intentionally injured like that. It's usually the rocks go zinging by each other's, missing somebody's head or body by inches, or you get hit with little pebbles or pine cones, not a frickin' grapefruit rock smashing your ribs. That's dirty pool. I don't know, I'm definitely not a counselor, man. I know there are people out there who are trained to have the tools to help people, right? They have tools to help your brain deal. Going to someone who's a professional for help, it's not a bad thing at all. There's nothing humiliating about it, nothing wrong with it at all. It's just going to see someone who's studied how our brain works and possibly has tools that they've learned about that they can pass on to you to help you cope with that frickin' terrifying experience. So I strongly suggest that, unless you run into some douchebag that laughs at you, which we have had reported to us before, right? That's not cool. What would I do? I don't know, man. I've had a handful of experiences now. I still go. You see where I go. I still go. All I can do is encourage you to go and take baby steps and listen to your gut. Possibly don't go back there. I'm guessing you probably won't go back there, right? Just try baby steps and try going again somewhere else. Don't let it steal your life. Don't do it, all right, man? Don't let that experience you didn't ask for steal from you. Try not to. Email me back if there's been any kind of anything update from that encounter. Email me back, all right? And make sure you forward this video to the people that were with you, all right? So they know they're not alone as well, all right, man? And keep in touch. That's a shitty deal, man. That's a shitty deal. Hi, Steve. I appreciate your time doing what you do. As a child, I've had a few crazy things happen to me, which I've told a few people I trust, but only got small reactions. I'm sure they thought I made up stories or I just wanted attention, so I stopped telling them altogether. I grew up in the Navajo Nation in northwestern New Mexico, Four Corners area. I was always alone and did things by myself as far as I can remember, which is not uncommon for a Navajo res kid. We all pretty much raised ourselves, or we raised our younger siblings. Ask any Navajo. When I was about 6 years old, for some unexplained reason, I suddenly woke up in the middle of the night and had a strong urge to look at the only window in the bedroom. The window was about 3 foot by 2 foot, and for some strange reason was built about 5 feet high off the inside floor. I slept with my dad a lot since I was very close with him. My dad was my hero, and I always wanted to be beside him at all the time. So when I looked at the window, I saw a silhouette of a giant head looking in my window. And for the strangest reason, I knew it was looking at me. It was there for me. I had the feeling it was beaming some type of energy at me, telling me to wake and look at me. To this day, I still don't know why this happened, and I'll never understand it. I stared at it for about 15 seconds trying to figure out what it was. I wish I was brave enough to get up and grab a flashlight to get a better look, but I was so freaked out that I threw the blanket over my head and tried to punch my dad in his ribs to wake up. He wouldn't budge and kept snoring. I understand how much of a deep sleeper he is now because I'm the same way now at 42 years old. I stayed under those blankets for about an hour, and I got brave enough to peek out the window again and it was gone. I know this was real because I couldn't possibly dream that I was awake lying under covers there for an hour. Also, I was not a silhouette of a tree or anything like that. It was not a silhouette of a tree or anything like that because it was gone. I know my window, and I've looked at that window as long as I can remember, and there was something big looking at me, and then it was gone. It reminded me of Chewbacca's head, since I was really into Star Wars back then. The house was built on a foundation that was very high, and for anyone to look in that window from the outside, they would need a ladder or something high to stand on. I don't know who would wear a Chewbacca mask in the middle of the night and quietly look into my window. None of my neighbors could afford fancy Halloween masks like that, and my closest neighbor's house was a quarter mile away. To this day, no one believes me, so I just leave my encounter alone and keep it to myself. The years after that encounter, I would periodically be woken up in the middle of the night hearing heavy footsteps outside my house. My bed was pushed up against the wall so I could hear almost everything outside. The res is extremely quiet at night. Footsteps sounded so heavy, I thought it was someone dropping giant rocks in the dirt every 2 seconds or so. It sounded like a thick, dead thud sound. Next, it sounded like it would scrape its fingernails along my outside wall. It's like it knew where I slept and only scraped near my bed. The only way I can explain it is big fingernails scraping the stucco outside walls. This is definitely creepy for a child to experience alone because no one believed me. It really sucks when no one believes you, especially when you tell the truth from your heart. This is all true. Why would I lie and make up stories? It really pisses me off how you trust someone and they look at you like you're crazy or just laugh in your face. I have no reason to make up stuff. I'm happy. I have somewhere I can send my encounters and not get laughed at. Thank you, Steve. No problem. Thank you for sending your stories in. You're helping people. Still, that didn't stop me from exploring the great outdoors into the deep forest, canyons, cliffs, and mountains with packed bologna sandwiches and my Daisy Powerline BB gun. I felt invincible with my BB gun since I was an excellent shot. I knew how many pumps I needed for the distances I shot and how much damage each pump would do. Definitely helped me in my Army years, as I never qualified below expert, the highest qualification, with my M16. Steve, I always felt someone was watching me when I explored, but I never felt threatened or scared. Maybe it knew I was a loner, and the creature was a loner just like me. I like to think we're very much alike as we like to venture out alone in the unknown. I'm still that way now. I'm faster, smarter, and more efficient alone most of the time, but I know when I need help. It was probably intelligent enough to not fully show itself to me, mostly because I wouldn't be able to handle it. Maybe they know we humans can't handle the truth about them, and it would endanger their species, so they stay hidden. Can you imagine how difficult that is? I know people that would jump in their trucks right now to hunt them down. It's sickening. Who knows? I hope I didn't break my friend's heart when I moved away into the city. Maybe it's a very good thing that no one believed me and he was left alone. I have a funny feeling the creature was a he, and he was young just like me. You know, when a kid sees another kid and tries every day to get closer, and they eventually become friends. My dad still hears grunts at night and smells awful scents. He says it smells like a rotten wet animal that he can't explain. My grandpa says, yep, they're around here. Just leave them alone and they don't mess with us. When I was a young kid, Grandpa called them Goo Man. I'm sure they know our family and know our hearts. Thanks for reading and feel free to use my name. Nate Medicine Bow Henderson. Nate, appreciate that email, man. I hope you, if you can, let the people who laugh at you hear this frickin' video. And they'll know that you're not alone. And there's tens of thousands of other people just like you grouped together here, around the planet, connected here, right? Not alone anymore, and the cat's out of the bag. It's as real as frickin' taxes and death, right? Just had a quick thought, you guys, when I first read that part about when it felt like the voice or the whatever, the being was like, look at me, turn over and look at me. all of a sudden, this is the first time I felt this. I'm kind of like, okay, who are they looking for? What are they looking for? Is that a possibility? Is that a slight possibility? Because how many children have had these beings looking in the window at them? How many? I mean, I'm not counting shit, but it's a lot, right? Then they always want them to look at them or come on outside and play with me. Come into the forest, right? But I just had that first feeling of that being needed to look at that child's face. Why? What are you looking for? What are you trying to recognize? What are you looking for? That's what I was just initially thinking. Why do you need that child to look at you so you can see what in that child's face or eyes? What are you looking for? What is it? Possibly, right? I don't know, my gut just screamed that at me right there. The way you put it and put me there with you. I don't know. Looking for a friend? Maybe, possibly, I don't know. Who knows? But why did I just get that gut feeling that being needed to see your face to see if it was what they were looking for? Looking for something. Thoughts? All right. Thanks again for sounding that in, man. Appreciate it. Here we go. So many. It is alarming, though, having them so interested in the children. Why? Dear Steve, my name is Darren. Feel free to use my name. The story I'd like to share with you happened to me when I was 14 in Victoria, Australia, in a place called Dales Ford in around 1985. Every summer, my father and I, my best friend and his dad, would head out there for a couple of weeks of hunting and fishing. We mainly hunted for rabbits using ferrets. What? No way. Crazy. I didn't know people did that. This particular day, our fathers went off to do their thing while my friend and I decided to spend the day fishing for trout. We were told not to go too far, but boys being boys, we thought we'd venture further into the woods than we were allowed. Along the way, we ventured into a cave and that kind of thing. By the time we reached the river, it was already around midday, and being summer here in Australia, the temperature was already nudging 40 degrees Celsius. Gross. We spent most of the afternoon getting sunburnt, not catching anything. It was around 4 when we decided to head back to camp. We thought it'd be a good idea to take a different route to the way we come so as to see some new sights. We had to climb a pretty large rocky embankment to get into the woods again, but as it wasn't too steep, it wasn't too difficult, but still took some effort in the heat, and with our rods and fishing gear, it was all the more difficult. Now, as we were meandering our way through the dense woods, we could hear what sounded like a cow mooing off in the distance. I said to my friend, there must be a property not too far from here, as what would a cow be doing out in the middle of the woods? We were relieved as we thought, if there's a property, we could ask for some water. Well, we were wrong. As we got closer to the sound, it no longer sounded like a cow. The only thing I can liken it to now is the wounded baby T-Rex in the second Jurassic Park. We had no idea what it was, so we made more effort to try and quieten our footsteps, as the leaf litter on the forest floor was making a lot of noise. As we got closer, it got louder and more terrifying. I remember saying to my mate, "What the F is that?" He just shrugged his shoulders. We walked a little further and closer to it. At the same time, we ducked in behind a big old tree, as we could now make out a shape through the vegetation that was moving around. Then another scream that shook us to the core. I remember almost passing out as this sound rumbled through my entire body and chest, leaving me feeling dizzy. Again, I said to my mate, "What the F is that?" We crept a little closer, trying to be as quiet as possible. We got close enough now to see it in full detail from the back. This thing was around 5 foot tall, solid, covered in matted dark brown hair. The smell that was coming from it was so foul it was hitting my gag reflexes. I remember feeling so dry in the mouth from thirst, and were it not for an empty stomach, I'd have vomited. My mate asked me, "Is it a chimpanzee?" "I'm not sure," I said, as our brains couldn't fathom what it was. It was then we noticed its leg was stuck under a fallen log, and then it let out another ear-piercing, body-shuddering scream to which something off in the distance responded with a loud whooping sound which seemed to calm it a little. I thought about trying to help it, but realized it's a wild animal. Most likely a chimpanzee, which we thought would be too dangerous. At that moment, I knelt on a stick which made a large crack. I looked up. For the first time, I saw its face, as the whole time it had its back to us. It was now staring straight in our direction. This was no chimp. As its facial features were too human/Neanderthal looking, the look on its face was utterly terrifying, as it had clenched its teeth and let out an aggressive guttural growl. It began thrashing around in a struggle, trying to set itself free. Before I could say, "F this, let's get out of here," my mate was off and probably had a 50-meter head start running back in the direction we'd come. I swear, when I got back to that rocky outcrop, I just about jumped down it in 2 leaps. I've never run so hard and fast. My heart has never beat so quick. My lungs were on fire. By the time I got back to camp, my legs were so full of lactic acid I could barely stand. I was sunburnt and sick from thirst. Our dads had asked us what we'd been doing, and before I could answer, my friend said, "Only fishing." We've never spoken of it since, and I've never told anyone for fear of ridicule. I suffered nightmares for years after this, always the same dream of it attacking me. Fortunately, they are only few and far between. Before this took place, I'd never heard of Bigfoot or Yowie, and the thought of such a thing at the time here in Australia would have been ridiculous. I'm 49 now, and my health is failing from a lung disease, and I have finally worked up the courage to tell my kids and you about the day my life changed forever. When my kids ask to go camping, we always go to well-populated campsites, as this still affects me to this day. You can use my name, and please keep up the excellent work you and your wife do with this channel. Regards, Darren. Darren, please look into alternative medicine to heal your lung disease, all right, man? Because I am firmly convinced right now that we can heal anything, as long as we bust away from the Western medical horse shit. That's just me, though. But anyway, appreciate you emailing that in, and if you are still with us following this channel, make sure you share this video with your family. Let them know that you're one of tens of thousands of people. Super glad you came forward and were honest with the kids. And if you feel like it, email us back again and give us more of a detailed description of that thing. Looking at color of its eyes, teeth, shape of its teeth, color of its teeth, wide mouth, little mouth, lips, ears like ours, no ears, what color? You know what I mean? That must have been a big tree. What a fluke. I've never heard of one of these things compromising themselves ever, except for that one called Jacko in the 1800s near Yale in British Columbia on the train tracks. Apparently it clipped itself out and got stuck, which is so hard to envision one of these beings being stuck anywhere, considering the physical feats they have been reported to do, right? And then the railway crew hiked up around it, dropped a rock on it, KO'd it, knocked it down on the ground, and took it captive, and that disappeared later through changing hands. But anyway, back to you. Yeah, give us an update, man. That's one hell of a frickin' experience. What a crazy thing to walk in on and see. Wow. Another from Australia, another member of the Club of No Return, right? Endless. All right, here we go. Here's another one. Hello, Steve. This happened between the 8th to the 11th of 2020. Oh, August 8th to the 11th, 2020, and has ruined what I always loved doing, remote camping. I'm an avid hunter, bow, black powder, shotgun, etc. I know now they are real. I saw it, and it was no ape or human either. It was the massive size that stands out. Massive. And I had a .357 mag pistol. It's been about a week, and still in my head, and those that go looking for these things are crazy. I never want to see one again, ever. And I was a Marine. Sat in the truck with a pistol on my lap, I was alone and deep in the Shawnee National Forest around Jackson Falls. This was not a blessing. It was horrific. No one should want to see them. They are not teddy bears. Maybe being so secret, maybe being so recent, sorry, I'm still very torn up about it. Massive. No joke. Here's what happened. It had been 5 years since I was in Shawnee National Forest, so I decided to go to a new area around Jackson Falls. Got there Saturday about 6 p.m. and found a good remote site away from the trailhead camping area. There's a lot of partying and noise. Saturday and Sunday night, nothing but a hungry coon raiding my trash bag. Had to pick up the mess. Then Monday there was no one but me in the whole area. I heard some knocking Sunday night, but thought could be campers. Even heard some in the daytime. Monday went to relieve myself away from the campsite and saw what could be a track. So I cleared some debris and got the phone to take a pic. Heard some grunting Monday night, but thought the coon was back. Then I heard what I thought was a whistle. Thought could be a remote camper. Tuesday during the day, as I went to other spots to see Burden Falls, Bell Smith, Springs, even closed winery and Lake Egypt. Got back to the site and gathered firewood for the night. This took some time. I started to feel uneasy about 8:30, 8:45. I had a sense and turned and saw this massive dark shape from behind some bushes. I saw it from mid-chest up. No distance details as the shadows were forming. Then it turned and glided away. I ran to my truck and stayed there until about 1:20 a.m. or so. No air and peed in a water jug. Sweating, keys and tent. There is more as I filmed possible eye shine. I've never been that scared. As a former Marine, there is no doubt it is real now and it should not be there. I finally saw lights from a van full of college-age kids pull up to the camp across the creek and were scampering about looking for something with lights. So I got out, grabbed my gear, and I left immediately. I've seen your videos and think you seem honest and sincere. I have no idea how long I've been watching. It had been watching me, but I think it was stalking me all night till those people showed up. Side note, they were running all over and into the woods, even as I was leaving. I think you have something about our senses. We should trust them. You can use my name, Bruce Hill. It's still in my head. I hope time will help. It does. Sort of. It does sort of. You can't, it's a lifelong sentence, man. It's a lifelong sentence, unfortunately, but you gotta deal, man. You gotta deal. Because you know how it goes. We don't deal with the issues, then the people around us gotta deal with them. Right? And that's not fair. So we just gotta deal with it. Deal with it, keep our shit straight, and hammer through it. And I am definitely not a counselor of any kind. But I think I've shared enough on this channel how I deal with it, right? It's just like, I'm too stubborn and it makes me too angry. I'm not going to let anybody or anything steal life from me. It's not going to happen. So, but I don't fear death either. I've had too many very close, and it doesn't even make sense that I'm alive. It's still every single day, I honestly cannot believe I'm alive. I don't know why I'm alive. I haven't a clue. I should be, capital D, dead. I don't know how many times now. A lot. And a lot of those times it just doesn't make sense that I'm not dead. But anyways, what I'm saying is I don't fear death. That's probably what gives me a little bit of an upper hand in making sure that I still continue to do what I do, and the majority of it I do it solo. But just do it. Just do it. And just so you know, you will never, ever, ever not think about it ever again every time you're in the woods or driving down a rural road. It's not possible. You're not thinking about it 24/7, but as you're driving along thinking about something or talking to somebody, me anyways, and I'm sure the majority of people out there, I'm always looking. I'm always looking on that slope, on that silhouette. The silhouette of the hill over there, the rock face, in between those trees. What's that dark spot over there? You're not thinking about it, and all of a sudden a dark shadow that might be in the right size or shape in the distance catches your eye, and then you keep on driving. And that same spot will catch your eye every time. So when I was driving home to Pemberton from Whistler every single day from work, and there'd be this one dark shape up to the left, and the sun was just right, and the cloud cover was gone, or whatever it was, commonly made that perfect shadow from that one boulder up near the tree line, and it just catches my attention unexpectedly every single time. It's like, oh damn, not again. But you can't help but do those things. You can't. So I'm just letting you know that you're not going to fully stop thinking about it, all right? But you can deal with it and accept it as fact. Listen to every single person here, so you don't know you're crazy, so you don't think you're crazy, and you know you're not alone. And listen to everybody. All we got is each other here. That's it. But we have to listen to each other and learn from each other, and then you get the confidence and you learn what to and what not to do, and then hopefully you can salvage what you got and take baby steps and keep going, right? Thanks for sending that in, man. I don't know when that was sent originally. Here's another one. Stephen, watching your channel for a long time now, and you have motivated me to get back outside and start doing the things I used to love, like camping and exploring and fishing. Things I used to do all the time, every time I had the chance. That is until my girlfriend and myself were minding our own business and became the target of a very large and pissed off 10-foot monster who changed my life and ended my girlfriend's. But not directly, but a short time afterwards, she took her own life. I believe because she couldn't cope. Alright, I'm pretty certain we've read this one before, but I'm going to read it again out of respect for her. Unless this is an identical scenario. We went through some serious shit that day, and she was the one, I think, who saved us. This happened 30 years or so ago, and to this day it still freaks me the hell out. I've listened to every one of the encounters you have shared, and I still haven't heard one very much like ours. I used to live in Spokane in the late 80s and early 90s, and I was asked by a friend to help him do some work on a property he had that had been in his family for generations. When it happened, I was on my third trip up there, and we were having a total blast. Way more a party than working, but was almost finished with the work I was doing, and was why I brought my girlfriend this time. Anyway, we got up there Friday night with plenty of light left to show her around. And there was also my friend's girlfriend and another couple, for a total of 6 of us. We had a small amount of work and a lot of partying to do before we had to leave back to Spokane on Sunday night. The job I was doing was building a well in a clearing about a quarter of a mile from the cabin. He wanted it to look like an old-time medieval well made of stone and wood, and it was coming along nicely. So when we got there, me and her took off on a couple of ATVs to the well with some whiskey, weed, blankets, and a guitar for a hoot of a night in the woods. And that's exactly how it was until morning came. I've not heard of an encounter quite like this one, but this is what happened. When we got up there, we immediately got on 2 3-wheelers with a couple of sleeping bags, lots of booze, and my guitar, and went straight to the well where I was working and started drinking and singing. It was about a quarter mile or so away from the cabin, and in a little flat clearing with the well right in the middle of it. We started enjoying the weekend right away. We howled away all night, started to go to sleep right before it started to get light out. My girlfriend woke me up saying someone was coming. I sat and shook off the whiskey and listened. Sure enough, loud footsteps were approaching, and they would get close and stop and start approaching again from the opposite side, so it sounded like there were more than one person. But because of the sound and hearing it run a little bit to our side, I instantly knew what was out there, because growing up I saw Boggy Creek and was a believer and liked all things encrypted, but laughing and joking was as far as I ever got me. And my friends would get away every chance we got, and can't even guess the number of times we went to bed right on the ground. And that split second I realized what was out there is like injection of all the terrible emotions at once, and it made me almost melt. Okay, there's no punctuation, you guys, all right? So here it is, and I don't care who believes it. And I have tried to tell what happened to many people and have never been believed. Not one time. I never got to finish it one time. But I've never been upset because no one ever let me finish. And even if I was standing up with a 50 caliber machine gun aimed at the place it come out of the woods, I still would not have shot at it. So this is how it went down. After a few minutes of running around us, this thing snapped a tree in two, screamed, and came running out of the woods so fast that when it tried to stop, it skidded across the ground with its giant arms in the air for balance and looked like someone was rolling on those sneakers with wheels in the heel. It dug up 10 feet of ground under each foot, leaving giant skid marks. And tearing up the ground, my girlfriend fainted and fell straight back, hitting the well that we were sleeping next to, and I lost all my body's functions, including vomiting. This thing was very mad at us for some reason. It turned around and screamed again and ran to the edge of the clearing, turning back around, getting down on all fours and charging us. This thing was a female, no doubt about it, and it was displaying how effing badass it was, breaking trees, throwing the motorcycle, screaming, and it was very mad. It was trying to say something to us. It seemed like it was mad at us. There was also no doubt about that as well. Still no punctuation, all right? And it charged us again. Each time it screamed, I vomited again, and that is when my girlfriend came to and tried shooting it with an old can of bear spray she picked up at the cabin. But she shot me right in the side of the face instead, and I was instantly blinded for the next 3 hours or so. And when she did that, it ran back into the woods, and I could hear it circle back around, and it ran away until we could not hear it anymore. It was at least 10 feet tall, dark brown. It had breasts the size of bowling balls, no hair on them or her face. She reminded me of Eddie Munster with her hair coming to a point in the middle of her forehead. She was effing pissed. There's also no doubt. There was also no doubt about it. There was also no doubt about that. It was clearly trying to let us know that it was not happy with us. It was also, I believe, trying to say something to us because it was yelling at us. It even pointed its finger, which was about 11 inches long, at us, like my mom used to when I was growing up, and got in trouble. It was effing pissed. So when it left screaming for a minute, it left screaming away for a minute until we could not hear it anymore. We just sat there holding each other, dry heaving, with all our ears ringing. Bad. My eyes were on fire. My whole face burned. The spray was dripping onto my chest and stomach, and it was burning there. It took us 15 minutes before either one of us could get up. We only had one motorcycle then, and it wasn't going anywhere because I guess it was 30 yards away, mangled and upside down, is what April told me later, because we did talk about it afterwards, unlike so many dual sightings. It was all we talked about in the weeks and months to come. Anyway, when we made it back to the cabin, and it took a while because April had never got to know the way because she followed me, was effing gone. Everybody couldn't believe my friends had left me. Well, I take that back. I can believe because I think I would have done the same thing after hearing the tantrum that big bitch threw at us. I also had no idea if she came by the cabin after she gave us her business. So just like her not knowing how to get back to the cabin, I didn't know how to get back to the road because we were about 2 miles away into the woods. At most places you couldn't even see the little road that got us back there. And we had a long day of daylight ahead of us because at that time of the year it stayed light out until almost 10 p.m. But we weren't going anywhere until I could see again. The cabin was a square, about 25 foot by 25 foot, with 2 sleeping areas and a kitchen and a loft that was also above the 2 sleeping areas. With my girlfriend's help, we made it back to the cabin, and in a cot where she fell asleep, and so did I after a couple hours of rinsing my eyes and cleaning off all the shit and vomit until every drop of water that we brought there was gone. When I got thirsty, I had a beer. I finally fell for the first time in 30 hours, not counting the 30 minutes I had before that pissed off Bigfoot made me get up. When my girlfriend woke me up, her first words were, "It's back, and she's not alone." So like the last time I sat up, my eyes were shut and I had to pry them open, but I could see, thank God, and it was already getting dark because we slept all day. So here we were in a cabin in the mountains somewhere in North Washington, and there was at least two Bigfoot outside, and it was getting dark. We had no car, and they were making a lot of noise. That's the end of the frickin' email, you guys. No, I'm not kidding. That's it. There's no email attached to this frickin' note either. Alright, well, I guess it was like we're watching a movie. Obviously, the man that sent this in lived that night because he's telling us about it. We don't know what happened to the girlfriend. I don't know what happened to the rest of this, and no, I haven't read this before. So, if you would, if you could, if you're still here watching the channel, email us back again, alright, man? Send us the rest of that experience and let us know exactly what happened. That's a shitty ending, isn't it, you guys? In a way, that's a real shitty experience. A real shitty experience. But the part that's really troubling for me is your girlfriend possibly losing her life because of this. That really sucks. And not the first time I've heard something like that either. Man, oh man. That would make anybody lose their shit. Brutal. I hope you're watching. Alright. Here's another one. One more and I'm going to get out and go feed animals and put them away. Hey Steve, I gotta say, you sure do live the life. What a way to spend it. I enjoy your videos and sharing others' encounters. It's very interesting. I've watched many videos and I've always been a believer myself, and I am a no-nonsense guy as well, not afraid to tell my encounter, and I don't give a shit what people think. Well, here's my encounter. The wife and I are owner-operator truck drivers. We run team lorry drives day shift. Sorry, a little bit of a typo. We run team lorry drives day shift and I drive the night shift. We run a designated run from Casa Grande, Arizona to Farmington, New Mexico and back. We made that run once a day, 7 days a week. We usually run up Interstate 17 north, but as it got warmer, I started running into the deeper part of the forest through Payson, Arizona, up over the ridge on Highway 260. It was around midnight when I would usually get to the top and run over the ridge. It was very bright that night, almost a full moon, and I'm always looking everywhere just to see wildlife. I was cruising about 40 miles an hour. There was no traffic, and I came across this meadow. As I looked to my right in the meadow, about 25 yards away, stood this massive and thick Sasquatch. I know for a fact it was because trees did not have 2 arms, 2 legs, or a massive dome-shaped head standing there not moving. On the way back that day, I stayed up just to make sure it wasn't a tree, and lo and behold, in that same place, there was nothing there. I actually have a buddy who's a hunter, and I told him about it, and he told me he was standing there waiting for a car or a truck to hit it. Oh, sorry, I'll read that again. I actually have a buddy who is a hunter, and I told him about it, and he told me he was probably standing there waiting for a car or a truck to hit an elk for free dinner. I'm not sure of their habitat, nor do I believe anyone else knows, but thanks for people like you, one day we might learn the ways of the Sasquatch. I'm a big-time believer now and don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I know what I saw. Thanks for your video, Steve. Thanks for your videos, Steve, and be safe, brother. Yeah, you too, man, especially on the road. Especially on that road. Be safe. Truck drivers and train conductors, railway employees. You imagine the stuff the sightings, the things that those two different crews of people see. And I always encourage all of you to email it in. I would, I'd love to do it all, but there's this lifetime's pretty short. But you got to think about you guys, the freedom and the experiences and the places the truck drivers get to see. Incredible. The remote areas and the wildlife that the trains conductors get to see. Whew. I would love to be able to ride in the front of a train, say from Alberta to the coast of BC, all at nighttime. I would love that. I wouldn't sleep a wink. But anyway, I know you saw what you saw. You're not the only one. You're one of hundreds of thousands of people. But anyway, there you go, you guys. There's so many emails. Like, you guys would just not believe how many people have come here and shared their experience just through me, through all of you here. It's absolutely frickin' mind-boggling. Mind-boggling, man. And the farther we go, like I said earlier, the more it's so obvious the effort put forward to keep this and much more secret from us is absolutely astounding. What a frickin' effort. I mean, what an effort. Right? Incredible effort put forward to keep all this shit circulating as a myth. People seeing bears, it's not true. It's not true. It's Harry and the Hendersons. Sons of bitches, man. You know what? I try not... some people complain, call me the angry one. Call me whatever you want. I don't care. I keep my shit together. But you're not receiving all these emails. You're not receiving all these people. You're not receiving the people that are upset, their lives torn apart, don't want the story shared, whatever. You don't receive all this daily, every single day, 24/7. I'm not complaining about it either. I'm glad. I am glad they're coming forward. But yeah. It changes everything, man. It changes everything. Anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com.